If you want to learn how to create one of these very modern, trendy arrangements that's currently taken the wedding industry by storm, then keep watching today's video. Welcome back to almost part 2. Now, you would have seen me create a gorgeous arrangement with white dahlias and hydrangeas. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to link the video just up the top here. And what I'm going to do today is recreate that arrangement. So it's a crescent shaped arrangement, but this time I'm going to use floral foam. When I did it before, I did it with wire netting. But what I found on the channel is the most popular videos are those designs done in floral foam. It's not the most environmentally friendly product to use, and I do get quite a lot of comments that I shouldn't be using single-use plastic, but it is still very much widely used in the floral industry in very large scale. This is a mantle vase and very popular in, I think, the 50s. Quite often used in homes and churches alike, and this time I've inserted 2/3 of a block of floral foam. And I've just taken the top section off so that my foam is in line with the container. And I'm hoping that that means I don't have to use lots of flowers to cover the base. Now, I'm trying to recreate this design in a similar manner. It's not going to be exactly the same, but it's going to be similar to the design I did with wire netting. And I don't want to have too much foam at the base, which then means I've got to cover it with lots of flowers. I'm going to try and sort of copy it, but in a different style. So in the previous arrangement, I used a hydrangea head quite successfully, just sitting there on top of the wire netting. But this time, I think I'm going to have to break it down into smaller size heads. So the hydrangea is a really thirsty flower. It needs to be hydrated really well before you use it. This one is slightly battered because, of course, I used it in that previous arrangement. But the benefit of sitting it quite close to the foam, it will have easy access to the water and it will stay hydrated. So mist that on a regular basis to keep it hydrated and to keep it looking really fresh. And quite easily, I've covered my mechanics with just one big flower head. If you don't have a hydrangea like I have, then you can use carnations. You could even invest in an artificial hydrangea which covers the base. If you've got anything in your garden that's growing in abundance, then you might want to use that to cover your foam, because traditionally we would use greenery, but the style at the moment is for very little foliage to be used. Now, I do remember a little bit about that design, and I had this magnificent dahlia off to one side. Now, the advantage of using foam is that you can make your designs larger and a little bit more impressive with the same length of flowers. Once you've cut them down to go into the wire netting, because they need to get right to the bottom to access the water. So one of the benefits of using foam is that you can use the stem and create a slightly larger design. And I'm going to aim to have that asymmetrical look. And again, another benefit of the foam is that your flowers stay where you put them first time round, whereas in the wire netting, they tend to move around quite a lot. But of course, it is much more friendlier to the environment. Now, this one I'm going to use on what is my right-hand side, and this is going to help create the width of the arrangement. Most arrangements have width, height and depth, and that gives you that three-dimensional look. But at the moment, I don't have many flowers that are bringing my eye from the front to the back. And that's technically what we call depth. And I paused for a moment there because I wondered what on earth this was. I'm hoping I can get the camera in close. I've got a snail climbing up my arrangement. Poor little fella. Let's get rid of him in some greenery, and hopefully he'll be a little bit happier. And that might be why my hydrangea was looking a bit sad underneath. I think my little friend here was affecting the underneath of the hydrangea. So we'll get rid of that for a minute and pop it on some greenery where he's going to be a bit happier. And I concentrate now on making my arrangement. Now the flower arrangement I did for the previous video has literally just been taken apart and I'm recreating it today. So the flower stems are the same length. So that gives me a good indication of where they were in the arrangement. And what I'm looking to do is to create a crescent shapes, and it's asymmetrical, so it's taller on one side and shorter on the other. It tends to be a style of arrangement that I really enjoy doing. That was my knife that just fell on the floor. And I've got the white cactus dahlia in there at the first of all, and then this one I would refer to as cow parsley. Grows on the side of the road where I live. It's almost like a wildflower, but I think it's probably Dorcas, which is the wild carrot. And the reason I think it's Dorcas is because there is a slight pink tinge on it. Now, when I turn this around, you will see that I have one flower here which has snapped. And that's happened because I've taken it out of the previous arrangement, but I can use it now down a little bit lower. So now I've got a really varied selection of shapes. I've got this really prickly, spiky looking cactus dahlia, which looks quite hard and aggressive, but it's actually really soft to touch. And that's a texture that we try to incorporate several of in a floral design, contrasting textures to make a design more interesting. If you're not sure about the elements and principles of design, then I have an ebook over on Amazon, and you'll find it linked in the description box at the end. And also in the description box at the end, you will find a list of the flower content that I've used and the flower names. And if you haven't been following me, then you'll find me on all social media channels. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. And of course, it's that time where I'm going to suggest that you subscribe to the channel. You hit that notification bell to be informed every time I upload a new video. And if you've got any questions, then you need to pop them in the comment box at the end, and I'll come along and answer them. Hopefully I've got a really lovely shape there with some big flowers on the outside, which traditionally we don't do in floral design, but is a really fashionable trend at the moment. Generally speaking, the bigger flowers come towards the center and they create the focal point, and the smaller, softer flowers go towards the outside because they create the shape. But we have this really big trend at the moment, particularly in wedding work. I think actually I'm going to do this on this side. We have this big trend where you have this very heavy massed base, very much like I've done here, and then flowers very whimsically arranged around it. It's not everybody's style and everybody's cup of tea, but it is massively fashionable. And the majority of the followers on this channel are sort of age range from about 30 up to about 60. And you probably aren't quite as familiar as that trend than I am as a florist, because we're doing it a lot in wedding work. Now, in the previous video where I used wire netting, there were 3 of these spiky hydrangeas here in the front, but I just damaged one of the heads, so we've only got 2 to go in here. But that's okay, because I've still got the more rounded shape head with that yellow centre, and they are really, really pretty. Hydrangeas you could have in the garden at the moment. If not, you will be able to buy them in a florist shop, and sometimes, not very often, you'll get them in a supermarket mixed bunch. But if you are in a supermarket and you're looking for hydrangeas for an arrangement, you could consider buying a plant. You get a hydrangea plant for maybe £4 or £5, and you could use that, just cut it down, use it as you would a cut flower, and then you can pop it in the garden for next year. If you don't have dahlias like I have, then just think about the shapes that I've used and try to find something that's similar. So you could use greenery at the base, you could use a cluster of large carnations or some dahlias. Spray carnations would work well, lisianthus would look really pretty on the outside. You could use gypsophilia, just don't overcrowd your arrangement and make a big sort of cloud that covers all of your flowers. And remember that you're trying to create a crescent shape, so we don't want to have flowers blocking the middle section. You need to have a flat center section and then flowers raised up either side. If you can imagine a full circle, we're trying to create the bottom half of the circle, but in an asymmetric way. So one side is taller than the other. And if you don't like raising the flowers up on one side, then look at other videos on the channel and you'll find versions of a symmetrical crescent where it's balanced on either side. Now I'm just using up the small pieces of flowers that were at the bottom, and I was going to put that in at the side, but I'm going to add it in at the back so that I've got some weight at the back of my arrangement, and then I'm hopefully preventing any risk of that foam tipping forward, although it was really wedged into my container, so I don't think I'm going to have any problem losing it. And that is the same design, maybe not an exact replica, but that's the same design, but this time I've used floral foam to create it. It's probably easier to transport designs in floral foam, but they can also be very heavy. And I don't often remember to mention this, but if flowers are going to be in situ for a long period of time, it's better to leave a small gap at the back so that it's easy to water it and to get the funnel or the nozzle in of your jug or watering can. So I'm hoping you've enjoyed that arrangement for today. This is definitely a trend that's huge in floral design at the moment, and it's probably what we would call modern arranging, although it's designs that have come from many years ago. So don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then please do so. Hit that notification bell to be told every time I upload a new video. And if you have any questions, then please put them in the comment box. I'll be happy to help. If you have a problem that you need solving, then let me know and I can do a tutorial based around that problem that you have. So thanks for watching and goodbye for now.